All right, so ready to break down a wild Premier League Saturday. We're talking top-of-the-table clashes that, well, didn't exactly clash, surprise comebacks, all the good stuff. We've got the match reports right here, ready to dive in and see what it all means.
The Premier League is always keeping us guessing, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, one minute a team's flying high, the next, they're fighting for every point.
Yeah, and this weekend proved, again, doesn't matter where you are on the table, anything can happen.
Absolutely. So let's start with that match everyone was talking about. Arsenal hosting Everton. Looks like a guaranteed win for Arsenal, right?
You would think.
But a goalless draw at the Emirates? I mean, that's got to sting a bit for Arsenal fans.
Yeah, it's a real blow to their title hopes for sure. Arsenal dominated possession. They had so many shots, but you got to hand it to Jordan Pickford. He was incredible for Everton.
He really was. I mean, he was like a wall out there. 9 saves, including that one denying Saka's volley in the second half. I mean, even Arteta admitted, quote, "We conceded no shots."
Yeah, that's not something you hear every day from a manager after a draw.
Definitely not. So was this a case of Arsenal cracking under pressure? Or was Everton's defense just that good?
You know, I think it's a bit of both. Pickford was unbelievable, no doubt, but Arsenal didn't have that spark in the final third that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they just couldn't seem to find the back of the net.
Right.
And to make matters worse, this draw means even more when you look at what happened with Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
Another draw for them, 2-2 against Fulham at Anfield.
And they played most of that match with only 10 men.
Seriously.
Yeah, Robertson got a red card pretty early on for denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity.
So they're a man down and still managed to score twice. How'd that even happen?
Well, Fulham scored first, just 11 minutes in. That must have been a bit of a shock for Liverpool. 6 minutes later, Robertson gets sent off. Tackle Harry Wilson, VAR confirmed it was the right call. But even down a man, Liverpool, you know they're known for never giving up. They fought back twice. Gakpo scored early in the second half, and then Jota, who came on as a sub, scored just minutes after coming on. It was wild.
Wow, so they really battled it out, even with the odds stacked against them.
They did, but these back-to-back draws, especially with that red card situation, I mean, does this make you wonder if their luck is starting to run out?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely raises some questions about their ability to stay in the title race.
For sure.
So with the top 2 teams both dropping points, who benefited from all this chaos, well, how about this for a surprise? Nottingham Forest are sitting in 4th place.
It's crazy. Their win against Aston Villa was amazing, especially since they were behind for most of the match.
Oh, yeah, that last-minute winner. I bet the City ground was going wild.
Definitely. 87th minute, Milinkovic scores with a header to tie it up. Then, in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Alonga, subbed in earlier, gets the winning goal. It was incredible.
I mean, this win puts them right in the Champions League spots, at least for now. So is this Forest's lucky streak, or are they for real this season?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They've won 3 of their last 4 home matches. They're organized, they've got that fight, and they're definitely hungry to prove themselves.
So you're saying don't count them out just yet?
Definitely not.
Okay, fair enough. But while Forest are celebrating, things are getting intense at the bottom of the table.
Yep.
This relegation battle is tighter than ever.
You're not kidding.
Ipswich had a huge upset this weekend.
They did. A 2-1 win against Wolves, away from home too. And guess what? The winning goal came in stoppage time.
No way. Another one.
Yeah, another one.
So that's just their 2nd win this season, but it puts them just 1 point away from safety.
Yeah, it's a massive boost for Ipswich, but for Wolves, it's a tough blow. They've lost 4 matches in a row now. Their defense is a real issue. They've conceded 40 goals, the most in the league. And off the pitch, things aren't much better. Their captain, Mario Lemina, had his captaincy taken away just before the match, apparently because of some kind of argument with the coach.
Oh, wow. So they're already struggling. Then they lose a crucial match because of, yet again, a set piece.
You got it. And we all know Wolves have had problems defending set pieces all season.
Yeah, Ipswich really couldn't have asked for a better scenario.
Nope. This win gives Ipswich a fighting chance, but it puts even more pressure on Wolves and their manager, Gary O'Neill.
So a lot riding on their next few matches.
You got it.
All right, let's finish this part of our deep dive by looking at Newcastle. They're back on track after a little slump with a huge 4-0 win over Leicester City.
Yeah, this was classic Newcastle, dominant, clinical, just a powerful performance. Isak scored twice. Murphy got a brace as well. They were on fire.
And they really took advantage of Leicester's bad luck. Leicester's goalkeeper got injured at halftime, and Newcastle came out and scored 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of the second half.
It was over before Leicester even knew what hit them. But you know what else was interesting about this match? I think we might be seeing a new star emerge for Newcastle. Lewis Hall. We talked about him a bit earlier, but I think he deserves a closer look.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game at left back.
He did. Eddie Howe has tried a bunch of different players in that position, Dan Burn, Trippier, but it looks like Hall has finally locked it down.
He's only 20 years old. It's incredible to see someone so young playing at that level in such a crucial position.
And what's great about him is that he's not just good defensively, he's a real threat going forward, too. Did you see that assist he gave for Guimaraes' goal? A perfect cross. He's got great vision.
He's the definition of a modern fullback,
Yeah.
great in defense, dangerous in attack. Newcastle fans have a lot to be excited about with this kid.
Oh, yeah, there's even talk of him getting called up to the England squad soon.
He's definitely on the right path.
Hmm.
Now, while Newcastle was celebrating their big win, Leicester was left trying to figure out what went wrong. This was their first loss with their new manager, Van Nistelrooy, and it was a rough one.
Definitely. Their defense looked shaky, especially after Hermansen, their goalkeeper, had to leave with that injury at halftime. They just couldn't handle Newcastle's speed and power in the second half.
They seemed completely overwhelmed, but even in a loss like that, there were some bright spots. I thought Mavidi and McAteer showed a lot of fight. They worked hard on defense, tracked back to help their teammates. They never gave up.
Exactly. That's the kind of attitude Van Nistelrooy wants to see. They need to build on those individual efforts if they want to climb out of the relegation zone. You know, it's amazing how one moment can completely change the whole feel of a match. We were just talking about Liverpool's draw with Fulham and that red card for Robertson. That was a game changer. What do you think was going through Klopp's mind when that happened?
Oh, man. He must have been so frustrated, especially with Fulham already in the lead. Going down to 10 men that early, it could have really messed with the team's morale. But you got to give them credit. They didn't give up.
And that's what separates the top teams, right? They find a way to dig deep, even when things are going against them. Liverpool's resilience, I mean, it's almost legendary at this point. This match, it was a perfect example of that.
Definitely. Speaking of digging deep, Jota coming off the bench and scoring that equalizer, that was brilliant. He seems to have this knack for making an impact at just the right time.
He's a true super sub. Did you know that's actually his 8th goal as a substitute in the Premier League since he joined Liverpool in 2020? That's the most in the league during that time.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that many. He doesn't waste any time getting involved, that's for sure. But let's not forget about Fulham in all this. They've been a real pain for the big teams this season.
They have. They've consistently been exceeding expectations. Think about it. They pushed Man City to the limit, held Arsenal to a draw last week, and now this draw against Liverpool, even when Liverpool was down a man. They're clearly not intimidated by anyone.
What do you think is the key to their success?
I think you got to give a lot of credit to Marco Silva. He's got them playing with a ton of confidence and discipline. They're organized in their defense, but they're also dangerous when they counterattack.
Players like Carrera and Robinson have really stood out, causing problems for even the best defenses.
Yeah, and, you know, Robinson has quietly become one of the most dangerous attacking fullbacks in the whole league. He's got 11 assists in the Premier League since the start of last season. That's more than any other defender in that same period.
He's kind of flying under the radar, but the stats don't lie. Fulham is a team that's well-balanced, well-coached, and they're not afraid to take on anyone. It's no wonder they're pulling off these upsets. But let's switch gears for a second and talk about that Newcastle match. A 4-0 win over Leicester. That's a statement, for sure.
It was a performance that reminded everyone why Newcastle are considered serious contenders this year, and that boost to their goal difference could be really important later in the season.
You're right. Goal difference can definitely be a tiebreaker, so those 4 goals are huge. But what really impressed me was Lewis Hall's performance at left back. We mentioned it earlier, but I think it's worth digging into a bit more.
He was outstanding. Eddie Howe has been looking for consistency at left back, trying different players like Dan Burn and Trippier there, but it seems like Hall has finally made it his own.
And he's just 20 years old. It's amazing to see a player that young doing so well in such a tough position.
The impressive thing about Hall is he's not just the solid defender, he's a threat when he's on the attack. Did you see that assist he gave to Guimaraes for that goal? A perfect cross. Shows how much vision and skill he has.
He's really the perfect example of a modern fullback. Solid on defense, dangerous on attack. Newcastle fans have a lot to be excited about with this young player.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the England squad soon.
I think you're right. While Newcastle was celebrating their big win, Leicester was left figuring out what went wrong. This was their first loss under Van Nistelrooy, and it was a tough one to swallow.
It showed some of their weaknesses, especially after their goalkeeper, Robertson, got injured and had to leave at halftime. They just couldn't keep up with Newcastle's pace and power in the second half.
They did look a bit overwhelmed. But even in a loss like that, you can still see some positive signs. Players like Mavidi and McAteer, they showed some real determination. They worked hard on defense, tracked back to help their teammates. They never gave up.
That's exactly the kind of spirit Van Nistelrooy needs to see more of. They have to build on those individual efforts if they want to climb out of the relegation zone. But for now, let's switch our focus back to the top of the table and the race for European football. Nottingham Forest, remember, they're in 4th place right now. Is this a Cinderella story that can last? Or will they come back down to earth?
That's the big question, isn't it? Can they keep this up? Even if it is a bit of a fairy tale right now, you can't deny the impact their manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, has had on the team.
He's given them a belief, a sense of unity, and you can see it in the way they play. They're not just a group of good players, they're a real team. And that shared belief is turning into wins.
You can see it in their celebrations, too. That last-minute winner against Aston Villa. The whole team, the staff, the fans, everyone was ecstatic. You can feel that energy.
That kind of team spirit can be incredibly powerful, but can they keep it going through a whole season? That's what we'll have to see.
They've got some tough matches coming up, though, right? Starting with Brentford next week.
Oh, yeah. Brentford's always a challenge, especially at their home ground.
And then after that, they've got Tottenham, Everton, and Wolves all in a row. Talk about a trial by fire.
It's a make-or-break stretch for them, for sure. If they can get through those matches with some points, then everyone will know they're serious about that European spot.
Yeah, those next few weeks will be telling. But even if they don't quite make it to Europe, this season's already been a huge win for them.
Oh, absolutely. They've blown past everyone's expectations. They're playing exciting football, they're winning, and most importantly, they've given their fans something to believe in.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? All the passion, all the drama, all the unpredictable moments. That's what makes the Premier League so great.
Couldn't agree more. This weekend, we saw it all. The top teams struggling, the underdogs making their move. It's like anything can happen.
It really keeps you on the edge of your seat. Makes you want to keep coming back for more.
Exactly. And as we head into the holiday season with all these matches coming up, I have a feeling things are just going to get even crazier.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So after all the goals, all the close calls, all the drama this weekend, what was the biggest takeaway for you?
For me, it's the reminder that in the Premier League, there are no guarantees. Any team can beat any other team, no matter what. The league table is just a snapshot. The real story's out there on the pitch. You know, form can go out the window, passion, a bit of luck. Those can make all the difference.
It really shows how competitive this league is. Every match counts, every point matters. It creates this level of excitement that you just don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, got it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Matchday 16, here's something to think about. The title race is wide open, the relegation battle's getting more intense, and everyone's fighting for those European spots. Who do you think is going to come out on top at the end of the season?
That's the question, isn't it? And we'll be here to break it all down as the season unfolds. Until next time, keep your eyes on the Premier League because, like we've seen, anything can happen.